Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Yes, thank you. And then we would like apologies for that. I will go ahead and start my presentation. Thank you. I'm Pfano Mashau from the University of KwaZulu-Natal. As I introduced myself, I'm going to be presenting on the title coal prices, the impact of coal prices on the price of electricity in South Africa. I am, like I said, I am from South Africa, and in South Africa we have energy prices, almost like what is happening everywhere in the world, and that is because electricity is largely based on a fossil fuel that is being depleted globally. And economics teaches us that whenever a resource is becoming limited, it becomes costly as well. And we want to see if that is the same in South Africa. More than anything, we want to also learn how the coal price is determined. It's regulated, and we want to see what goes on to determine the coal price. So, ladies and gentlemen, that will be the focus of my presentation. As I try to move to the next slide. Currently, a unit of electricity in South Africa, a kilowatt, I tried to convert this into the US dollar so that we all get into the same picture, cost around 15 cents per kilowatt for households, so that's into people's homes. And also it cost about 7 cents for businesses, right? That is per kilowatt per hour, right? So in South Africa, we have an institution called NERSA, which stands for National Energy Regulator, South Africa. They are responsible for overseeing the pricing of energy in the country. Recently, there was a proposal to increase the electricity price by 18%, which is way above the inflation rate, which is sitting around, which normally ranges between 4% and 6%. It's currently at 7%, the inflation rate in South Africa. So one can only ask themselves why there is a very high proposal to increase the electricity price. And the answer to that lies in understanding how the electricity price is determined. So we looked into the data that was extracted from various sources. We talk about the sources in this paper. The data is time series for about 16 years. I'll show you a little bit more information about that. We also noticed that when we're doing a preliminary study, that the best way to determine the electricity price currently is to look into the record, the previous increases on electricity. What motivated the increase, and what caused the price to increase, and what was happening in the economy during the time. So that means we had to look at the historical costs and trends, right, which is what this study is going to be doing, in order to be able to determine what justifies the electricity prices in South Africa. And most importantly, we're going to be looking at the impact of coal prices on that changes of electricity, which is the focus of this paper. What I have here is data from trading economics that shows a percentage change in the price of coal. If you can look there in the screen, you will see that prior the pandemic, the price of coal was stable, and then right at the beginning of the Ukraine and Russia war, the percentage increase of the price of coal just started shooting up. And that is justifiable because even countries that were relying mostly on gas to produce electricity had to start demanding coal. So that justifies why there was that jump on the coal prices. So this demand was also shown locally in South Africa because during the time, or during this current time when there's a war in Ukraine, the demand for South African coal has increased. And we have seen a trend where quality coal is being exported outside the country, and the poor quality coal is being taken into our power station, and the result of that has been degrading standards of our power station, and we have what we call power shading, electricity load shedding, where we go some days without electricity. So what are we going to consider into this model of trying to determine what determines the electricity price in South Africa? We're going to consider the price of fuel, because most of our power stations require a lot of fuel to generate electricity. So we want to see if the changes in the price of fuel does have some impact. Power plant spending, I mentioned that some power plants in South Africa have been constructed almost 50 years ago, and they were not maintained regularly, and the standard of that has been resulted into very high cost of running the power stations. There's also coal pricing, which is going to be what we're focusing on, and other inputs. Right. So this study is generally to measure the effect of coal prices and how that determines the electricity price. Why we're doing this is because 40% of the global the power generation is mostly through coal. Okay. We do have a drive in South Africa also to generate electricity from renewable energy, and that has been because of the Paris Agreement, and we've seen South Africa trying to focus on alternative energy sources, which has to do with green energy. Okay, the literature, ladies and gentlemen, the literature, when we do the literature search, we found that electricity prices in South Africa have been low and declining in real terms. I've explained this. The reason it's declining in real terms is that in the previous years, the increase in the price of electricity was fixed at 2%, which was way lower than the inflation rate, which is normally ranging between 4% and 7%. Right? And then now they are currently asking for a percentage that is way higher than the inflation rate, which I've mentioned earlier, that is 18%. The reason of that is because it has been declining in real terms. The pricing of electricity is declining in real terms. To move forward, the literature is showing that we need to have a cost-reflective pricing, meaning that it's necessary that a country like South Africa increase the electricity price by a percentage that is way higher than the inflation rate, which is currently what they are getting into. The reason for this is what the global trend is. We want to get into generating electricity through alternative sources like that are green, right? And then for that, they need to be a cost-reflective price so that private investors can also benefit from the electricity industry. Okay. Further, when we continue doing the literature search, we focus on the operation cost. And then we found that Eskom, which is the monopoly company that supplies electricity to South Africans, which is also mandated to supply electricity to the poorest of the citizens in South Africa, meaning that they don't have a fixed price on the price of electricity, and have been trying to minimize costs. And the cost, the main payback for that strategy has been the grading standard of our power station, right? because in that they had to sacrifice time, your maintenance time, in order to supply electricity at the lowest cost possible. Price increase reflect both changes in coal sources and an effect of longer transportation distance. Only thing that I can tell you about this is that in South Africa we have a lot of coal mines, but we have power stations that are again situated further from those coal mines. So whenever the electricity is being priced, the cost element of transporting electricity or that coal from the mines to the electricity, we only have 2 power stations that are situated from very close to the mines. The rest of them are further up from the mines. So that also plays a role in the determination of the electricity price. Okay, and then from this explanation, everyone in their mind will be thinking that definitely there is a direct relationship between the change in coal prices and electricity price. Because when coal is becoming more expensive to mine, now that it's becoming limited, one would expect that to reflect into the price of electricity. But it's not a factor, because in the last from 2018, 5 years prior, 2018, the electricity price was only increasing at 2% a year, which is lower than the inflation rate, right? So it was decreasing in real terms. So let's see if that does have some relation. The coal prices does have some relationship with the electricity price. I've talked a little bit about the global trend in terms of generation of electricity. That there is a push now to move to green energy. I will skip that discussion for now, since we all have some understanding that, and talk about what we got from this study. This was a desktop study that extracted data from which is a time series ranging from 2000, the year 2000, to the year 2016. The study, I have to mention everyone that it was conducted in 2020, and that was the most reliable data that we can get at the time. We got the data from 3 sources, which is the South African Reserve Bank, Quantech Online database, and also from the power generator, which is ESCOM. So from the data, the only result that I'm going to focus on is whether to compute and see if the coal price does have some, the coal price fluctuation has reflect the cost of electricity in South Africa. Okay. My co-author ran some statistic tests that shows that there is some relationship between the coal price, the changes in coal pricing, and the price of electricity. But something to note that is to note there is that there is a very long time lag, but that in short run, the changes in the price of coal is not reflected in the price of electricity. But in the long run, that becomes the main determiner of the price of electricity. And they tend to ignore other factors. I will explain a little bit about that in the next slide. In the paper, we presented all these statistics and the results from the short-run test and the long-run test. I will show you the next slide. So the test results were showing that a percentage increase in the coal price also is reflected by a percentage increase in the electricity price in nominal terms. I have to mention that, right? And it was, like I explained, it was not, the data was not a significant, the results were not significant in short run, but only significant in the long run. I'll explain a little bit about that in the next couple of slides. So, correct, confirming from what we found from the literature review, there is that relationship between the change in coal price and the price of electricity, but in the long run, according to the data. Why is it like that? One is because in South Africa, electricity price has to be applied for and approved by the regulator. So the price is regulated for different reasons. One, to stimulate economic activities. Two, so that the poorest of our citizens can also afford the electricity. Three, as an incentive to run businesses in South Africa. So this is what they call in the when we bring the literature stage, that they call it the cost absorption factors that they have, so that the electricity prices will reflect directly the changes in the market. Okay, so I've explained the whole implication of this and why it doesn't have the direct relationship in the short run is mainly because of business and individuals' standard of living. Okay. Again, we have another factor, which is the debt that Eskom has. Generally, the feel in the public is that people will always propose for electricity not to increase because there's still people who cannot afford the electricity pricing that has reflected. Yes. So the debt that Eskom still has to pay is now being absorbed by the state. And that has been the reason why now there's motivation to increase the price and then to have also independent power producers entering the market. Then we found that other factors in the model didn't have much and explainable effect on the price of electricity in South Africa. So that was also reflected in the model. So what I can say now to just wrap up is that changes in the coal prices have an impact in the electricity price in South Africa, but it's not reflected in the short run. The reason for that is that when the coal price increases, there will be an increase in the price of electricity. So what we did is that we look at that runtime data, and it was showing that whenever NERSA have to motivate for price increase, the approved reasons for electricity increase was always the change in the price of coal. So the pattern of electricity pricing change is similar to that of electricity of the coal price. Another factor that we found is that South Africa still remain mainly focused on fossil energy, so meaning that most of our electricity is generated from coal, and then the rising cost cannot be ignored. Mining is becoming too expensive because the coal is being depleted, and then the high quality coal is being sold outside the country because of market determined prices of coal. Right, so that's the reason why some of our power stations are no longer working as efficiently, because they are not receiving the best coal that we have. So the recommendation to the policymaker here, in the time where they were trying to move into green energy sources, is that they should continue implementing the cost reflective pricing, so that it becomes business. The businesses that enter into this market can also realize economic profit, and there will be a drive. There will be a drive for investors to invest their money into South Africa energy generation. We'll stop here.